I'm consultant for Parasite Medical for this particular procedure. Why relax? Because most of us here would be wondering why relax when we can have a wonderful procedure in terms of femtolasic, giving us very predictable results. Why go on to a new procedure altogether? You have to know that an excimer laser performs photoablation, which is increasing linearly with fluence beyond a certain threshold. Here, the corneal reshaping is done by photoablation, and the photoablation itself can be influenced by a lot of external as well as factors within the cornea. So, organic vapors, humidity, the corneal humidity itself, the depth at which you are working on the cornea, and if you are treating high myopia, how quickly the laser is able to function, whether it's able to take the plume away, will also finally decide about your final outcome. And this results in the scatter, especially for treatment of high myopia. Relax instead uses cutting, and therefore it would cut or it would not cut. It's binary process instead of a linear one, and whenever it cuts precisely. And this is also seen in the way it cuts a flap. And there is very little or no influence of external factors, which is also reflected in the tremendous accuracy that we got for the first 1,000 to 1,500 to 1,000 eyes done in the worldwide. And results we found were interesting, especially for the high myopic group, where the excimer laser sometimes don't give you what you intended for. And if you look at the results here, these are the first eyes that we had treated, and you can see that 98% of the patients were within plus or minus 0.5 diopter without any nomogram adjustment. If you look at the scatter plot at 3 months, again a very closely packed result with results very close to the mean. And therefore we decided that we should look into it more in detail. So we did 25 patients where we treated one eye with femtolasic and the other eye with SMILE. And this we did in a higher myopic group from spherical equivalent of -6 to -10. Because this was like an acid test for this particular procedure. And we found the results to be really good. In fact, in some respects, the SMILE results were having a little edge over femtolasic. Some of them, the differences were not statistically significant, but you will see always a trend towards SMILE being a better procedure as compared to a femtolasic, as you can see in the results that follow, in the slides that follow. As you can see here, in terms of refractive results, and mind you, these are high myopic group, you would find that in femtolasic group, while there was a scatter up to about -2.5 diopters, in SMILE it was limited only to 1.25. The ETDRS score of uncorrected distance visual acuity at 3 months was also found to be statistically significantly better in the SMILE group as compared to the femtolasic group, as you can see here. For the people who are wondering what the ETDRS score means, it's calculated not in terms of Snellen's acuity, but the number of letters in a particular chart that is really strictly configured. And here you can find that there are up to about 8 to 9 letters that were missing in femtolasic, while in SMILE there was hardly 1 letter at the most, as you can see here. So it was a statistically significant difference in the final outcome in the terms of effectiveness. If you talk about safety, again SMILE scored slightly better than a femtolasic, though it is not a statistically significant difference. Does SMILE consume more tissue, which is an often asked question? And my answer is no. We even compared that, and we found that in femtolasic as well as in the SMILE group, we had the same difference in the pachymetry reading. And does it come with more inflammation? Because that's again something that we are afraid of, since you are making 2 passes rather than 1. Also, you're putting more energy by also doing the cutting of the flap, cutting of the side cut. But we found that the energy put into the eye when it relax was less than what you would get with a femtoLASIK when you consider both the femtolaser energy as well as the excimer laser energy, which would result in less inflammation, as you can see, and the higher stability of treatment. If you look at the stability, from 1 month to 1 year, you would not find a significant difference at all. And this is the entire group. But even if you look at a specific group of high myome, more than -5 diopters, you would rarely find in your excimer laser group such a straight line, even at the end of 6 months. So this says a lot about the procedure, which is still only 5 years old, as compared to an excimer laser procedure which is more than 2 decades old. So it is at par or slightly better than the procedure which is time tested. The potential for minimally invasive treatment is the one which is the most attractive part of the entire treatment, because you can easily remove a lenticule through a 3 mm incision. I know that Dr. Shriganesh does regularly a 2 mm incision. He calls it a Mona Lisa smile, right? So, and I think it's really an apt name for such a beautiful procedure, because it's leaving your cornea almost smiling back at you, even though it's a very small smile. And we are working on techniques to reduce this to even less than 1.5 millimeters. So as you go down on the incision size, you are going to disturb least nerve endings and also have a better potential for biomechanical strength, and therefore small incisions would definitely offer a lot more advantage than doing anything where a flap is created. There is no risk of flap displacements, no flap related issues at all. There is no flap. Small incision results in less cutting of the corneal nerves, inducing less dry eyes. Now, again, there are a number of studies which have been going on as well as have been published which show this to be true. There is very little discomfort. When we treated one eye with femtoLASIK, the other eye with SMILE, those patients definitely experience less pain for a much shorter duration when in the SMILE eye as compared to the femtoLASIK eye. And this possibility of a better biomechanical stability is going to answer what we did not have in terms of an answer with LASIK. We are afraid to make a flap in any cornea because we don't really understand the biomechanics so well. We don't know which cornea can go into ataxia, and therefore if you have a cornea a procedure where we don't need to create a flap, it's going to work equivalent to a surface ablation, and therefore also offer a better biomechanical strength without the incident pain that a person with surface ablation has to bear through. The dry eye benefits are pretty stark. Post-LASIK dry eye is usually attributed to the severing of the corneal nerves at the incision edge. In Relax Smile, we are putting very small incision, and therefore we expected that it is going to be less. This is going to be particularly very useful in older people and people who are in the younger age group who have worn contact lenses for a very long time, which is generally the case when they come to you for refractive surgery. Most of the younger people are also working a lot on their computers, and all this have a tendency to make your eyes dry, and your procedure is going to increase the dryness. It's not really a good proposition. And in a preliminary study that we compared femtoLASIK with Relax Smile, we found that the non-invasive careful breakup time was different at 1 month. In the femtoLASIK group, it was much less as compared to the Relax Smile. So the Relax Smile recovered much faster, even though you do have some amount of dryness induced in the first few weeks. There is a workflow improvement. You don't need to change stations. You don't need to keep placing and removing the speculum. The whole treatment gets over in now less than 10 minutes for both eyes. And the patient is very comfortable during that period. Sometimes they even ask that, oh, it's over and I didn't even realize. And it can save a lot of time for you if you have a very high volume surgeon. About patient acceptance, it's very easy to give this procedure as a procedure of choice because it is a bladeless procedure, there is no flap and there is no pain. So patients love this idea of not having a flap and not having a blade run on their eyes and a totally painless procedure with recovery which is going to be slightly better and quicker. So in my experience, it's a very easy sell. Except that we sell it as a most premium procedure, so whoever can afford doesn't even think twice about choosing this over the other procedures, so we give them all the choice. And only thing that we found people to be hesitant about is the price of the procedure. You need to have only one laser, so the capital cost, the consumable cost, the maintenance cost can go down to half. And so does that mean that we throw away our excimer laser? Not yet. We can still use it for those very rare wavefront guided treatment that we do for a few patients. Till today, for retreatment in a relaxed procedure, we are still dependent on excimer laser. We cannot right now do another smile on an already existing smile to do a retreatment, but we are looking at that option. Right now, what we offer to our patients in terms of retreatment, which let me tell you is in a very, very small percentage of patients that is required to do a retreatment because the predictability is so high. We do offer them either surface ablation or there is a special software which is known as Circle software, which converts the cap into a flap. And this is also done with a femtosecond laser. So then you can extend the cap into a flap and have a side cut. So you can open that flap and do a laser treatment underneath with the excimer laser. And today, hyperopia is not a possibility to be treated as a smile procedure, but the study is going on, and therefore I think that in near future we may have hyperopic treatments also as part of the smile procedure. So I thank you all for your attention, and if there are any questions, I would be willing to take those.